of pilgrims made the journey here to worship, and 700 years later, they still do. People come here to the 11 churches of Lalibela from all over Ethiopia and beyond.
We heard that it is totally different from other churches, and religion-wise we are told that if a person go to Lalibela and see, if you make a pilgrim, you will be righteous, and from generation to generation. So that's why we likely come here and to see the church.
There's no doubt that Emperor Lalibela left the kingdom something lasting and significant. It might also provide me with another clue that takes me further back into the past in my search for the kingdom's origins. The architectural features are very distinctive. These shapes are thought to represent the rising sun, and the lower windows have a variety of cross designs. It's a double cross so that you can actually see it both as a cross and then also extruded. And then at the very top is this shape that you see everywhere. One of the things I'm beginning to think about this building is just looking at these windows, you are forced to ask the question, why? Why these shapes? But also why go to this length of bother to create something quite so complex? But more intriguing than the windows are the blocks at each corner. They look almost like beams, but the way these churches have been created means that they're architecturally unnecessary. This building is completely made from solid rock, so there will be no need to have any supporting structures inside it. And yet it has some of those sorts of supports running all the way along the length of this building. The use of apparently structural features as pure decoration tells me that they've been copied from buildings that already existed. Architectural quotations, if you like. It also suggests that those earlier buildings may have been important to the people who built Lalibela. Remember, according to the Kebra Nagast, Lalibela was not descended from Solomon, so perhaps in copying an architectural style, he was emphasizing his claim to be the heir of earlier rulers. Maybe in this architecture lies Lalibela's claim to royal legitimacy, to biblical descent, and to greatness. But I don't know how old the buildings that inspired Lalibela might be, or whether they lead to a connection between the kingdom and Solomon and Sheba. To find out, I'm going to head even further into Ethiopia's past. This is one of the oldest inhabited places in the world. Archaeologists have discovered signs of the earliest human development here from over 4 million years ago. Even things that appear recent are ancient. These terraces in Tigray province are believed to have been ploughed for 3,000 years. In pre-colonial times, Ethiopia was the only sub-Saharan country to use the ox-drawn plough, a crucial step away from the pastoralist culture of the rest of the continent further to the south. The terraces rise from the bottom of the valleys to the mountain peaks, and they all have to be ploughed in time for the rains in a few weeks' time. I want to try my hand at a 3,000-year-old skill. I'm a natural. How is there out of a job here? Head, Melo! I nearly had my eye out there. How do I stop them? What do I do to them? There is a serious point to all of this. And it's that this method of agriculture was unique to these highlands, and it doesn't appear to have spread quickly to surrounding areas. It underlines the isolation and separateness of life here. It's hard work. It must be about 90 degrees out here. I must admit, I really wouldn't want this as a job. He's just as bad at steering as I am. I might have to give him a few tips, I think. We're 10,000 feet above sea level here, and visitors to towns like this are unusual. I wonder whether isolation like this is why Ethiopia's traditions seem to have lasted so long. They could develop independently and free from outside interference. But there are few places in the world more self-consciously cut off than my next destination. In the far north of Ethiopia lies Debre Damo, one of the most important sites in the country. Debre Damo is one of the oldest buildings in Ethiopia, and it sits on top of this imposing Table Mountain. It's a monastery dating back to the 6th century, and its famed isolation is justified. The only way to get to it is by climbing a rope made of goatskin up a steep cliff.
And hopefully do a quick prayer for us as well. I need all the help I can get. Good luck, Haftamu.
Thank you.
It seems like a good idea to send Haftamu up first. He can show me how it's done.
Oh, no, he's fine. Well done, Haftamu.
Okay, let's get this safety on. This has worked for thousands of years. I mean, who am I to doubt it? I mean, even if my stomach is absolutely full of butterflies and doesn't seem completely convinced, I'm the sort of person who gets vertigo if I stand up too quickly. But I really want to see Debre Damo, so I think all of this is really worth it.
Oh, I made it. Oh, that probably wasn't very dignified, but I don't care. Just look at those views. We're right on the top of the world. Coming up here, getting up here, I wouldn't have missed this for the world. It's just amazing.
When the monastery was first established, it's believed that up to 1,000 monks lived up here. Today there are around 300. It's said to be one of the oldest permanently occupied Christian communities in the world, and it's at least 500 years older than Lalibela. It was built thanks to another Ethiopian emperor, Gabra Mescal. He ordered the construction of a colossal ramp to help get building materials up onto the plateau. Once the monastery was completed, the ramp was demolished and Debre Damo was isolated once more. And the monks continue to take their separation seriously.
So they don't allow women up here, is that right?
That's right. No, man.
No women at all? And that's ever? There were never any women allowed up here? And that's the church?
In fact, ever since the 6th century, they haven't even allowed females to be brought up from the valley floor.